and it was 30 below zero. So.
Yeah. So you're about what, 24,000 feet, 22,000 feet?
Well, we were at 30, and we lost about 10,000 feet. So it was about 22,000 when we got righted back up.
So the pilot, Joe Haas was the pilot. He was a pretty experienced, even though he was a first lieutenant, he was a pretty experienced B-17 pilot. He had been a pilot before the war. He had flown in the Pacific. He had a lot of hours, you know. Do you think he had any idea, or was the airplane turning upside down his first sign that there was a problem?
Well, I think it was, he bailed out of the airplane before it went down, and so did the bombardier. The bombardier got shot over the ocean from a German soldier. He got shot in the heel. I met him 3 days later, and he didn't recognize any of the crew at all, but he was there, and so was the navigator.
Well, anyway, here's the John Schulstad theory, is once that airplane inverted, and the one waist gunner was actually thrown out of the waist gun portal outside, John Sherman.
Yeah, he was hung up on the gun, and I went to get him, and he flew away, and I was without my oxygen, and Jerry Dobbins was pounding on my shoulder, and I wondered what he wanted, and he was trying to give me Sherman's oxygen hose, which I put in my mouth, and when I got in my chute, I still had part of it. I had bitten it in two.
So the pilot was actually able to right the airplane, get it right side up again.
And I get that Christensen had right to do that, because Haas had left the plane, and so had the bombardier. So it was Christensen that righted the plane.
Okay. But anyway, and of course all this happens in a matter of minutes. We don't know whether it was 3 minutes or 6 minutes or 9 minutes, but you came out of the radio compartment and went back to the waist gunner position.
Well,
and what was your duty then?
Well, my first duty was to get the ball turret gunner out and get his chute on, and tell him to get the escape door off. I did get him out and get his chute on, but he never made it to the gun.
So Jerry Dobbins, the waist gunner, and John Sherman, the waist gunner, they both had parachutes on the side of the plane, right?
Yes,
they were not wearing parachutes.
Yeah.
The waist gunner, the ball turret gunner did not have a parachute. You had a special little fanny pack parachute.
Yeah.
So you came back, got him out of the ball turret.
Put his chute on.
Then you realized you didn't have any oxygen.
Well, that's what Dobbins.
He made you
come back and got me the hose.
Okay. Now my theory is that the co-pilot who was flying the airplane at that point, he probably, pilots think like this. What can I do? I'm fighting one basic law, the law of gravity. I've got a vertical stabilizer that's damaged, the horizontal stabilizer is ripped off. I'm not with the formation, so I got no protection. My options are to go down and hide in the clouds or go low level back to the UK. But it's probably better if all my crew bails out and let me fly the airplane by myself, because there are French people down there who will take care of us. So if I get the crew out, I can fly the airplane. The best option I got is to go all the way back and land at a base in England. The next best option I got is to crash land somewhere in England. The next best option I got is to land in the Channel, because the Royal Navy and the Royal Air Force will come out and pick me up. The next best option is to crash land anywhere where I can survive. So he probably, I don't know whether you all jumped out because that sounded like the best idea, or did somebody tell you to jump out?
The plane just kept flying slower and slower. It was trying to get back up into formation. And I imagine Christensen was flying it. But anyway, finally the plane just quit flying and they nosed over, and it was going straight down. And I got out because I did have my seat pack on, and pulled my chute open and watched the plane go down. And before it hit the ground, a parachute come out with nobody on it, and I think it was Christensen trying to get out the co-pilot's window, because he was jerked out of the plane and landed quite a ways away from where the plane crashed.
And the other thing he hasn't mentioned is that while Christensen righted the airplane and was able to fly it, but he was falling away from the rest of the formation, there were 2 or 3 Focke-Wulf 190s circling that airplane like a wolf pack looking for a victim. And they were just machine gunning the airplane with 20mm cannon.
Yeah, I got
And
out.
Jerry Dobbins and Chuck were both, he has told me, could feel the detonations inside the fuselage. You still have shrapnel in your, as you said, in your butt.
Yeah,
Okay.
17 pieces I dug out of me. But when I got out in my chute, I was lucky because I had my seat pack on. Everybody else's parachute was hanging up on the inside of the airplane. And Jerry Dobbins didn't have a chance to put his on after the plane quit flying and went straight down.
Once it veered off and was going down.
Yeah, there was no chance. Like I said, I saw one chute come out.
And all this happened in, minutes, literally
That's right.
60, 120, 180 seconds. Well, that's the story. I mean, it could have been that Jerry Dobbins could have got to that door first, but you had a chute and he didn't. And he was trying to give you his oxygen bottle.
Well, he was giving me Sherman's oxygen hose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the way you told me the story one time is almost like you didn't really jump out of the plane. It kind of lurched and you kind of,
Well, I went back and got the escape door off, and I was half in and half out, and I thought, hell, that tail gun, that horizontal stabilizer is going to get me. But about that time, I think the de-icer boot come off and knocked my helmet off and knocked me out of the airplane, and I was just going down like a tumbleweed in a Texas highway, and I pulled my chute through there, ripped a big hole in the middle of it, and it kept collapsing on one side and on the other side, and it said I come down in the man with the crooked chute. That's what
yeah. And then we have different accounts that our French guests can impart, because Hubert and Michel have kind of talked to different people, older people, obviously, about what they saw on the ground, and,
Yes.
and where the
Well,
impact was.
Hubert's father was the first man on the plane wreck. Pierre Lenivia.
Yeah. But anyway, here's a recap of that day. We're not now at the Jerry Dobbins, Chuck Roth beats me level. We're up here at the the 8th Air Force level. That day, the 1st Bombardment Wing sent up 73 B-17s against 2 different targets in Brittany. The primary target was the U-boat base at Lorient, and that's where the 303rd's 20 aircraft were sent. The time over target was supposed to be 150 local. The bomb load, 86 tons of bombs. They don't tell us what kind. Losses, beats me and 4 other B-17s were lost, and 1 aircraft was damaged. It got back, but it was not repairable. These casualty figures are from January of '43, and of course we know in retrospect that really it's either KIA or prisoner was 70. Secondary target was Brest. No B-17s were lost there, and then another bomb wing sent off a group to just draw the fighters in another direction. So that's the story of one day in January of 1943. This is a recap of the missions that Jerry Dobbins may have flown on. I didn't mean does not mean he flew on every one. I know that there are accounts here that tell you which specific missions, but you can see every one of those, always the target for those first missions was France.
Right.